them down to visualizing and sharing your findings. So let's quickly go to the next one, which is data insights. Okay. Okay. I also explained all of this last time and how to turn your data to actionable insights. And yes, I think I did this. Okay. Now let's go into the anatomy of an insight. So let's define this term, business intelligence. This refers to the procedural and technical infrastructure that collects, stores, and analyzes the data produced by a company's activity. So basically, business, is there any problem? Is there any problem? All right. So, but okay, can you mute yourself if you're not asking any question? You are disrupting the class. So basically, BI is all about extracting insights, and I'll give you guys exactly what insights mean. So the anatomy of an insight includes what has happened and why it happened and how we should react to that particular scenario now. Okay, so I'll give different examples of insights, and then we're going to grade it whether or not it's a good insight or a bad insight. So let's say you work as a sales analyst in a particular business, and then you analyze a particular data, and then this was your result. This week we sold 80 units of product X, and that was your you know your insight. So is it a good insight or a bad insight based on the formula we gave earlier? So basically, this particular insight explains or kind of explains what has happened, but does not put the data into meaningful context. Doesn't tell us what that units mean. 80 units of what, and it doesn't really explain what drove the sales. Like, how did we sell 80 units, and why did we sell 80 units? And it also do not offer recommendations or plan of action. So basically, a good insight should actually explain all of this. So let's check another one. So of course, this is a bad insight. So let's check another example. This week, we sold 80 units of product X plus 5%, while we spent, or while spend, which is the amount of spend on a particular activity, increased 20% over the same period. So this insight, how do we grade this? It has explained what has happened, yes, and it has provided some context in terms of weekly change and comparison against the spend. That's the 5% increase in the weekly change and 20%. Okay, so it doesn't explain why we made such sales. Okay, so it doesn't explain why the spend increased.
Why are we still waiting for? Is it why?
So it also does not offer any form of recommendations or plan of action that we can optimize. All right, so this is also a very weak insight, and then, well, it's kind of in the average point. So let's see another one. This week we sold 80 units of product X, 5%, while spend increased 20% over the same period. New advert placements drove incremental sales, but at a cost of $50 per sale versus the $15 benchmark. So this insight has explained what has happened and has provided some context in terms of weekly change and comparison. It also explained that new ads drove incremental spend and sale at high cost compared to the benchmark. That means we have put a benchmark of $15, but instead we have used $50 per sale. So this also is a kind of a good insight, but it's missing something. There is no recommendation. So it offers no recommendation or plan of action to optimize. So it's kind of a good one, but not complete. So let's see this last one, which is, of course, quite complete. This week we sold 80 units of product X, while spend increased 20% over the same period. New advert placement drove incremental sales, but at cost of $50 per sale instead of the $15 benchmark. Recommendation: pause new placements and allocate towards more efficient channels. So this is what we have done here. After explain what has happened, giving context, and explain the reason why we add such pain, which is the ads. We also offer a clear, actionable, and data-driven recommendation to the company, and this is exactly what they are going to use as a form of point of action to continue their activities in the business and also make good sales, because we've given them exactly what they should do. Post those new placements and then allocate budget towards more efficient channels, because we are spending too much and we are not making as much as we expect. Okay. So this is a very complete insight. Yeah. So to summarize, a strong insight tells a clear story addressing the what, why, and the how. It is supported by hard data, not by guts or feeling. So you use data. So you are not guessing or anything. You are using data decisions. And then it also provides meaningful context. The insight should provide meaningful context behind key data points, and of course delivers clear and actionable recommendation. At the end of the day, what we really want to do, is to drive. Please, the admin, when you hear a noise, try to mute them now. So, please, moving forward, once there's a noise, just help us to.
Hello, please, can we all maintain decorum, please?
So let's continue. So this is everything an insight should contain, and at the very last point, drives real and measurable improvement to the business. Because if your insight does not give any form of improvement or any form of benefit to the business, then it's basically an incomplete and invaluable insight, and it's not a good insight or a valuable insight. Okay, so so, well, I'll just give the difference between each of these terms. Okay, so I already defined what data analytics is. We are examining data sets to draw conclusions about the information they contain, and we use the data analysis techniques to take the raw data and uncover patterns to extract valuable insight from it. So this is what we do in analytics. Aside from the um, predictive part where you have to do with the machine learning. Okay, and the is about it's a process of collecting, cleaning, analyzing, interpreting large amounts of data and building models that best fit the data for future use. So the difference between these two probably is number one, the volume of data you are analyzing, and number two, the method of approach. In data science, we tend to build machine learning models, okay, to analyze very large volume of data. Okay, so data analytics focus more on historical data in the context, while data science focus more on the machine learning and the predictive modeling. Okay, and data engineering basically is the practical applications of all that needs to do with the collection and analysis of data. So basically, sometimes they are responsible for finding trends in the data sets and also developing algorithms to help make raw data useful to the enterprise. So basically, they are the ones that are in the data engineers works with the database system, basically the database management. They help us gather and clean our data for analysis purposes. Okay, so there are four types of data analytics. So let's describe them quickly. The first one is descriptive, and this tells us what is happening. So you are describing something. So this is the most common of all forms of the analytics. In business, it provides the analyst a view of key metrics and measures within the business. So you want to monitor some kind of KPIs and metrics in the business. So that is descriptive. Okay. And the next thing is that diagnostic, and tells us why something is happening. Okay. So on assessment of the descriptive data, diagnostics, diagnostic analytical tools will empower an analyst to drill down and in so doing isolate the root cause of a problem. So in data analytics, you really need to be very simple. You need to understand the problem you're trying to solve. You have to go down to the root of the problem, because although the future tutors will go into this in the analysis phase, but then I'm letting you know that for this phase, for you to know why something's really happening. Because yeah, you may have to do some kind of causal relationship, some causal effect. And of course, if you're good in statistics, you know that um, correlation does not imply causation, which means if something is having a form of relationship with something else, doesn't really mean it's the one causing that thing to really happen. Okay, so you have to go down to the root cause of a problem, and that is where diagnostics comes in. And the next thing is predictive. So you want to know what is likely to happen. Okay, so this is all about forecasting, and it is done through predictive models. So you want to know the future. Basically, you've gathered historical data on maybe sales and prices of goods, and then you've made these already available, and then you want to know, what you will likely make in the next future. So you put this into a predictive algorithm, and then you get the answer. So that is the predictive, what is likely to happen. Yeah, and prescriptive is what should we do. So now that we've gotten the description, the reason, and then what's likely to happen, what should we now do? That is the prescriptive. So it basically utilizes an understanding of what has happened and why it has happened, and a variety of what might happen analysis, and that will help the user determine the best course of action to take. Okay, so after analyzing all of this, you now, what should we do? So what action should we take? Because this is the part where we are going to now use to actually give the business a form of value, a valuable insight. Okay, and this is basically kind of a detailed explanation of the insights I've explained earlier. Because at the end of the day, you want to use your analysis to make a particular, action that will actually help the company. It's going to transform to numbers to the company in terms of growth or acquisition rate or whatever key performance index they use in the company. Okay, and basically each of these type of data analytics kind of increases in complexity. And for instance, from the descriptive analytics, right? The value it gives is quite all right, and the complexity is low. But when you now go from diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive, the value of each of them increases, but complexity increases with it. Okay, that's what this graph is telling you. So it can be easy to know, the description, what has happened, and when you get to why it's happening, it tends to become difficult because you have to go down to the root problem. And then to predict again, you have to build machine learning models, which requires professional knowledge. And then to now prescribe what should we do. This part is very crucial because if you give them a wrong recommendation, you tend to bring the business down. So I think we understand up to this point. So how do you, okay, in data analytics, you need to know how to ask questions, okay? And you have to ask questions like, what is working? And that is, you want to know what is helping to bring what is helping to bring profitability to the company, what is bringing in new customers, or what is making the organization work, basically. So is it their social media campaigns, or is it their one-to-one phone calls, or is it by employee recognition? So you have to know exactly what is making the company work. And then the next thing you ask again is what is not working. So what does not seem to be effective, or what is dragging us down? For example, is it the cost of the adverts using billboards, or algorithmic pricing, or employee evaluation? Like there are some things that we may be doing in the business that may not be working for us. So we have to know those two. And then the next thing is, can you prove whether what something is working or is not working? Because you may think something is working or something is not working, but can you actually prove it? So this is the three crucial questions you should be asking as an analyst. Okay, and it's a
What is the accumulated value?
okay, do you understand? So you should know exactly how to prove your hypothesis, whether something is working or not, which is very important. So let's see the different kind of questions you can ask in different fields. If you're in the marketing field, you can ask questions like, how many people are you engaging, and on which platforms are you engaging in? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Who are your most valuable customers or influencers? Okay, you have to know those guys so that you can know how to treat them properly. Are there any recent changes in audience, a glitch or a temporary effect or a valuable nutrient? So basically, you may realize some changes in some particular aspects of your business, But sometimes it could be a glitch, which means it can be for a very short period of time and it's not something that should be looked into. But sometimes it can be a new trend. Maybe it's something that occurs probably periodically, and you'll be like, oh, this thing is always reoccurring. This is not a glitch. This is something that we should look into. Maybe it's a new trend. Maybe during Christmas times, you tend to get higher sales than during summertime. So that's a trend, okay? I don't know if you do time series analysis, but in time series you do things like seasonality, periodical. There are some terms you'd be introduced to when you get to time series analysis, okay? But that is what to do in marketing, okay? Let's say you're web design, you want to ask things like what projects are most profitable or what are likely to cause headaches. So because you have to know how these are going to affect you and your quality in giving the service. And is there any connection between your pricing, your working hours, and your evaluation? Are your estimates accurate? For instance, are you saying you're going to finish a project in 1 day or 2 days? Is that estimate accurate? Have you tried it? Have you tested it? You get, so you ask this kind of questions when you are in such fields. And as an author, maybe you write books. Ask questions like, is there an association between the time to write a particular type of book and the sales? Maybe it takes longer time to write a particular book. So you know that, okay, this is the time I will allocate to write this book. Okay, or do any form of journal have a better sales, profit, ratings, or do they repeat buyers? This means, let's say you write romantic novels and you also write action or adventure. Which of these sell more? So that you can know, probably which one you should write more than the other, because one is selling more than the other, and which of them has more rating, and you know how to improve on yourself. And should you self-publish or should you work with a publisher? So some author would want to give a publisher or the so these answers depends on what would be of good help to you, what is going to be valuable to you, what's going to that is lesser cost and more profits. But these are the questions you should ask when you want to do these forms. Let's say you're in the craft industry, you are doing some craft. Should you create your own design, or should you monitor trends, or should you take orders? This is a question you should ask. Where should you sell, and how much should you sell it in that location at that particular time? And what are the personal, social, and financial effects of awards from shows? As a craft person, be it a musician or you are a artist, that is a paint artist, sometimes when they go for exhibitions, they get awards. So what are these social incentives? How are they affecting you? Be it negatively or positively, okay? As a professor, maybe you're a teacher, a tutor, or whatever, you can ask questions like, what which classes do you need to offer, when, and how? You can also ask, do student learning and satisfaction relate directly to grade or workload? So you want to know if the amount of work you are giving your students has a relationship to how they learn or how they tend to understand. Okay, so basically, I think I've need to cover about 5 fields, and the way you should ask questions. And have your evaluation changed over time? Okay, so okay, so all of these that you can see, which is the data value chain, are basically summary of what I've said earlier, which is gathering your data, getting them stored, analyzing them to get insights, and then getting action from it. So I will stop here, which is tools for generating insights. Okay, so for instance, if you want to gather data, let's say you have data. So you use spreadsheets like Microsoft Excel, which is one of the most used local storage platforms. Google Sheets, Oracle for cloud storage, MySQL, which is mostly common to, and also Microsoft Access. You can use also, these are basically they are called structured query languages. They are basically structured, but there are some ones that are no SQL, like the DynamoDB in Amazon. You will know all of this. For data manipulation, you can use Excel formulas. So you can use Tableau, Python, RS, PSA. You can use plenty of these tools. There are lots of them. And then for visualization, you can use Excel, Power BI, Tableau, ClickWheel, and there are most of them there. For prediction algorithms, use R, Python, SPSS, Tableau. So I want to just give a quick advice. The advice I'll give to you is that do not start with the tool, okay? Don't choose a tool yet. First, understand this topic, data analytics, data science. Understand it, because the tool does not matter. The tools basically does the same thing. Doesn't matter what tool you use, but what matters is your understanding in the field and how you want to solve the problem. Yeah, the problem you want to solve. How do you solve it? What kind of data should you gather? What kind of analysis should you perform? Then you cannot decide on what kind of tool or what tool to choose. The tool does not matter, like I said. So don't say which is better, is it Python or R, or is it Tableau, or don't waste your time for that. That is a waste of time. All of them do the same thing, probably due to the way you handle them or the way they look like, or they are, doesn't matter. As far as you know what you want to do, you can use any of these two to basically achieve your goals. So I think I've been able to give you guys a very good fundamental in data analytics. Before to get to the more advanced parts. So my name is Michael Ojo again, and thank you very much for attending my lecture. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me through the Slack channel, or you can get my WhatsApp phone number. And I'm always open for any form of mentorship if you need one. And I will try to make up a quiz or an assignment for you guys to just test your knowledge. Okay? Thank you very much, and have a great night.
Thank you very much, Joseph.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so Michael was using my account to like give you guys a talk. So I'm coming in next. I'll explain and walk you through practical hands-on work on Python for data analysis. So I'm going to like share a link on the Google on the chat box now. So everyone should try. If you're with your laptop, just go to collab.research.google.com. If you can't go to the chat, go to collab.research.google.com. I'll type it in the chat box for people who didn't get that. So while I'm waiting for my system to stop, can I just sent a message collab.research.google.com, or if you can hear me, just search for Google Collab on your Google. The first website you see there, or the first link you see there, will take you to Collab, Google Collaboratory. So to start with, I don't know whether anyone's going to volunteer to talk about what he understands by data analysis, probably in 2 lines or in 1 line. Anyone, you could raise up your hand and yeah, just signify by raising up your hand. That's all. Anyone? Yes, what do you understand by data analysis? Or say.
Sorry to take everyone back, but I was caught like network. So please, what are we talking about now? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bolu. Actually, we're moving on to Python for data analysis. So like Michael just gave us he rounded up his talk on introducing data analysis to us, the theoretical part, the concepts, and the principles, basically. So right now we're going to start how we can apply use Python for data analysis. Libraries. We're going to look at like NumPy, pandas, matplotlib, and so on. Yeah, then we're going to try and look like an actual data set and how to carry out this, hopefully within the 1 hour 30 minute space. So Tolani, can you speak about what you understand by data analysis?
All right. Good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me? Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I
Speak
can hear
up.
you.
All right.
I
So
can hear you.
data analysis is just basically demystifying data for people to understand, because sometimes data can be much, and people that even generate this data don't understand what the data relates to. So our job as data analysts, or our data analysis, is just more like demystifying data for people to understand what's really happening in their business or whatever they are doing. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that, Tolani. Any other person?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear
Good
me?
evening. Good evening. Good evening.
My
Can
name is
hear you.
Joseph.
Continue.
Okay, what I understand about data analysis is you get the whole number of data and be able to analyze it and help your company or people to gain insight, to be able to show them the insight from the data set you get because they cannot really understand the data set. It's you being able to help them visualize the data set after you must have done your data collection and help them to see the insights in those data that you've gotten and help them analyze it and how to help them probably make more profits or improve themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Wow. So, must T, if I got that right, this can you also, you're free to speak. The floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello,
Yes,
Yes,
good
yeah, I can.
afternoon.
Yeah, I can. Good
Yeah,
afternoon or
okay,
good evening, rather.
my name is Mr. Fall. I mean, so to me, data analytics is just a particular field under on data sciences that deals with data transformation, manipulation, and cleaning and all. And finally, it also has to do with data visualization, just for a particular purpose, for drawing out insights which are beneficial to those who does not understand what data entails. That's all I understand about data. Can you hear me?
I
Hello?
got that. Like, nice. That was nice. I got that. Jimo, that's the last person. So Jimo, please, can you? The floor is yours. So, what do you understand by data analysis?
Okay.
Oh,
I don't know if
Rafia,
anybody can hear.
Jimo. Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear
Good
you, but
evening.
your voice is a bit dim. Can you speak up
Good evening.
or
Can you hear
speak?
me now?
Yeah,
Louder.
good evening. It's better. Yeah, it's better.
Yes. Data analysis, the little explanation the first teacher has taught us is that the cleaning and the manipulation of data in order to gain useful information. Because when you get data, they are unclear and they seem meaningless at first sight. But data analysis is the process of like getting useful information from this set of data.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Rafiat. So I've had a lot of responses, nice, interesting responses from everyone. I think Tolani, Joseph, Rafiat, and Mustafa. So from what I could get from everyone, it's all about like just being able to like make sense of your data for business decisions, being able to like transform your raw data to information so people can make sense of it and make certain decisions. Okay, yeah, so that's good. Okay, Toby wants to talk. I think this is the last person I'll be giving the floor to. So,
Yeah, good evening, class, and everyone. Um, good evening, sir. Yeah, yep.
yeah, Toby, talk. The floor is yours.
Yeah, data. What I understand by data analysis is basically getting data like a particular problem or maybe a particular field of study, maybe just a concept in itself, collating the data, gathering it, and using it to find solutions to problems or using it to predict or to make certain decisions, make decisions and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you very much. So, like I said the other time, your response was interesting and fantastic. So, the whole essence of data analysis, in simple words, is just making sense of the data, and not like make business decisions, make better decisions, and all that. Being able to like answer questions from your data, being able to like transform your data to information for stakeholders, business owners, for students like us, professors, and all that to like make better decisions with. So there are different tools for data analysis, and we'll be covering one of them today, which is Python. I want to believe majority of us here are familiar with Python programming. Can I just get a response for like 5 people? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Just
Yes, sir.
5 people only.
Yes, sir. That will be fine.
No,
Yes, sir.
sir. I have no idea about
Yeah.
Python.
No, sir.
No,
Oh,
sir, I
Yes,
don't know have
yes,
idea, please.
yes, sir. Okay, okay, it's
yes.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
It's
I
fine.
have an
Don't
idea.
worry. Don't worry. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. It's fine. This class will be interesting. So, I mean, everyone.
You're muted though, please.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So, I mean, if you're all on collab.research.google.com, just give a thumbs up sign. You don't have to speak. collab.research.google.com. Just give a thumbs up sign. Or yeah, just a thumbs up sign. Toby, you have a question? Thumbs up,
No.
not
Okay,
a
sorry.
thumbs up. Sorry. Yeah. Please go to the chat box, collab.research.google.com. Just if you have your laptop with you, you can go there. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Can you all see my screen? I need someone, just a thumbs up sign. You don't have to speak. Just a thumbs up sign if you can see my screen. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Can't hear you, sir.
Can you guys hear me? So because of those that don't understand Python, I'll try to go to the fundamentals as best as possible. So I would be counting on you guys to like understand as fast as possible so we can like just achieve what we have to achieve today. So to start with, I'm starting with the NumPy library or the numerical Python library. So the NumPy library is like the linear algebra library or the library for matrix calculation and sequence calculation in Python. So we all know what a matrix is basically. So the NumPy library is used to do your basic arithmetic operations, arithmetic vector operations, and so on. So to start with, how do you create a NumPy? How do you create an array? Or what is an array? An array is basically a sequence of an array is basically a container that contains several data or several information of the same data type. And when I mean of the same data type, okay, because of this I don't understand Python, I have to go to the fundamental. So data type is basically what we use to recognize what a particular data is. For example, if I'm giving one is a whole number in like mathematics or engineering, but in Python we recognize one as an integer, like the one you can see here, like the one I'll be writing just now. So we recognize one as an integer. So to move in, so this list here, so in an array, you create an array is basically like a container that contains like information of the same data types. So this is an array of integers, integers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want this is a list of integers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to create an array, a NumPy array, because with the help of the NumPy library, I have access to do some certain computations and which I will show us in the coming sections. So to start with, how to create an array or how to create a NumPy array. There are two methods about it. The first one is to create a list first. Like I said, a list is basically just like a container. It is basically just a container that contains information or data of the same data type. The example here is a list that contains integers from 1 to 5. So I create the list. I'm calling it my list. So this is a square bracket. In case if you are wondering what this is, I'll share the notebook with us so you don't need to follow while I'm doing this. That's fine. So this is a square bracket. So this is a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So after I've created the list, I need to call my NumPy library because I am creating a NumPy array. To go about this, it is simple. In Python understands some certain language. The same way like humans communicate with English is the same way like computers or Python programmers communicate with Python. So you need to see like Python as a normal English. So for example, I would read this import NumPy as NP. So I'm trying to like import NumPy, or I'm trying to use the NumPy library, but instead of calling the NumPy library every time, I'm just calling it NP. So whenever I write the word NP, or whenever I type NP, I'm calling NumPy as well. So I'm importing NumPy as NP, which is what I'm doing here. So inside the NumPy library, I have several features, or I have several attributes, one of which is an array. And I already talked about what an array is. So an array is similar to a list, for those of us that know Python and those of us that don't know Python. So I already talked about what a list is already. So an array is similar to a list. So in this case, just that an array is kind of is faster in terms of computation and other than a list. It doesn't store a lot of information in-house compared to a list. So I'm creating a list using the feature np.array. So what you just did is once you created a NumPy, once you've imported your NumPy library, you just write np. If you are using Collab like me, once you write the dot sign, several methods pop up. So I'm looking for an array. Once I type arr, I start seeing several other features or several other methods. So once I press enter, I type in my list which I created initially. I've created an array. It is as easy as this. That's all. So this is just it. np.array, the list you created initially, and that's all. So in Python, there's in Python, or whenever you're dealing with sequence data, there's something called or normally you know that you have to have a dimension. For example, taking it back to your engineering, what you're engineering, your GGs, your MATs, and whatsoever. So there's something called dimension. So we have a one by one matrix data. We have your 2 by 2. You have your 3 by 3. 2 by 2 means you have 2 rows, you have 2 columns. 3 by 3 means you have 3 rows, you have 3 columns. 5 by 5 means you have 5 rows, you have 5 columns. And 4 by 1 means you have 4 rows and you have 4 columns. In this case, you have 4 columns and 1 row. So okay, so moving next. So this is it. So to check the dimensions, of your array that you created. So in this case now, I created this array, or I created this list. Let me call it an array because that sounds better, but that's what it is. So to create once you create this array, to know what the dimension is, to know what the size, like I said, whether the column by row or row by column, you know what it is, you just call the dot shape method. So it is easy as this. I created my array. I called my array np.array into bracket my list. I called it arr. So whenever I call arr, automatically my array pops up. So to know what the size is, this is you just do the arr dot shape. So if you are using so you call the arr.shape. This is a data of we have 5 columns and just a single row. So let's say I want to okay, this is it. So let's say I want to create like a multi-dimensional type of array, or let me say a 3 by 3 matrix. This is what we all understand since we're all from engineering, or some people are from mathematics here. Because let's say I want to create a 3 by 3 matrix. It is called a multi-dimensional array in this case. Like in terms of Python, when you're speaking Pythonically or using Python language to speak, so you call it a multi-dimension type of array. So to do it, you create the list of you create the several lists you want to create. So in this case now, if you can see my screen, let me see, try to enlarge this. Okay. If you can see my screen, the first list here, I already told you how to create a list. I talked about the list. So this is a list of integers. The first one is integer 1, 2, 3. The second one is integer 4, 5, 6. The third one is integer 7, 8, 9. That's all. So that's when you create those lists. So to now create a 3 by 3, to create a 3 by 3 array, or to create the multidimensional array, you simply call your np.array again. You write the first list. You write it based on the position you want, how you want it positioned. So the first one, which is the FST, the next one, which is the SND, and the third one, which is the RD. So then once I've created it into my multi-array container, once I call multi-array, I'll see my 3 by 3 matrix. So like I said, to check the dimension or the shape of the data or the size of the data, to know what it is, whether it is a 2 by 2 matrix, a 3 by 3 matrix, a 4 by 4 matrix, you simply call the dot shape method. Once I call the dot shape method on my multi-array, I see that it's a 3 by 3 matrix. Please, is everything clear so far? I just need one person. Is everything clear so far?
To be honest, I don't understand anything. Like everything is just odd.
I'll
Okay,
I
Everything
don't
is
even
just
understand
sounding
how you're
strange to me. Honestly, I do not understand.
okay. Um, wait, so let me ask.
What is it? Yeah, yeah. Hello.
Joseph, you're muted.
Sorry, sir. Please, can I speak?
Hello, Victor. Please, can you speak?
Can I speak?
Hello.
Who is that? Tolani? Is that Tolani or Toby?
Okay, yeah, Tolani. I'm the one that is asking if
Okay,
I can speak.
okay, Tolani, you can go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yes, probably because of I have maybe a basic knowledge, not too much knowledge, but I have a basic knowledge of this that you're taking. So I'm following and I'm even getting to understand better. So I don't know if before next week, people, because if I was to be in the shoes of people that are complaining now, I would say the same thing they are saying. So I don't know if they can take this course online. It's a free course on data camp for data science. All of this was explained there. It will be easy
Okay,
for them to follow
yeah.
through.
Okay, so the okay, yeah. Thank you, Tolani. So I want to guess. Okay, Toby, please, can you speak? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Are you going to share this file with us? This IPMB, IPYMB document class.
Yeah, I'll share documents, everything with us. I actually created a 16 I actually created 16 notebooks for this, which I plan to share with everyone later on. But with the way things are, like I might have to like just create a notebook on introduction and fundamentals to like Python, or for those in the Python track, if you can get their scripts. For those that I don't know whether it's possible for people to attend more than one track. For those, because I mean, before you can talk about applications for applications of Python in data analysis, we need to understand of Python, the basic fundamentals of Python, the data types, and all that. But it seems like a lot of us here we don't really have the fundamentals. So I will try my best now to like probably after today's session to create a Python script on just give that just goes through the introductions, how to like go about variables, data types, loops, and all that, just for people to have an idea of what I'm talking about here. So Damola, yeah, you can speak.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joseph. So, I mean, I can relate with people's challenges learning Python. So, the expectation is that, or should I say, the thing is that this is more like an introductory class to NumPy, pandas, data cleaning, and but then we would also be sharing resources because the expectation, like I said, is that you have to work for you to understand these things. We're just trying to introduce you to what exactly you can use Python to do. How to create arrays, how to clean data, how to arrange data sets and all. So most of the work actually would be on you. So we're going to be tasked to giving you assignments, and like someone suggested, data camp is a very good resource as well. We would also be sending other resources, YouTube, data camp, some books that can be helpful, just for you to have that, understanding of Python. Of course, I don't expect a lot of people to just be masters at Python in one day or in 2 hours. It's actually not it's not very feasible. But then the whole point of this class is to introduce you to Python with NumPy and pandas. But then we're also working out to having extra classes too. But in coming weeks, the point I'm just trying to pass across is most of the work here would be on students. But yeah, we're surely here to help you and to guide you with any challenges you have. But
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. So to come in that regards, I would make sure like there are resources, textbooks. I don't
Sorry.
know, for those of us
Sorry.
that prefer. Okay, sorry, Toby, can
Sorry,
you
sir.
just give, for those of us that prefer like reading things, I would share like books with us, because today's class was actually scheduled for like how we can actually use Python for data analysis. And so it's just like, because some of us don't understand Python, and I think it would be a little bit difficult for us to just grasp this at once. So I think all I'll try to do, what I'll try to do is now like just tell you why we are doing this. I mean, even if you don't even if you don't understand the codes in the first place, I'll tell you why we are doing this, what's the end goal. And I mean, I feel that will like kind of interest a whole lot of us that don't understand Python. I totally understand that you guys will find it a little bit difficult understanding this at once. So I will try to just tell you the reason why we are doing this. So because when you probably go to your hostels or like your homes and all that, you can like, when you go and learn these things on your own, you be able to like picture it better. So like Toby, you have
Yes, yes,
Toby,
sir.
yeah, the
Yeah,
floor is yours.
there's this option here, connect to hosted runtime or something like that. I thought we were going to use that feature like maybe to have a back and forth stuff like a live class, something like that, with collaboration.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
So there's this option like connect to hosted runtime on collaboration. Like I thought we were going to use that.
I didn't get that. I'm sorry. I don't know if Damola got that.
I said
No, your mic is
I
not
said
clear.
oh, um can you hear me now?
Can you speak up? You're kind of louder the other time.
Yeah, I said
Can you speak up? Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said there's this connect to hosted runtime option on collaboration. Like I thought we were going to use that.
Yeah, we are going to use Google Collab, but like I don't know, I didn't get that. Is it that like you want me to share my notebook with you now, or you're talking about accessing the Collab website itself?
You know, I was trying to, what I'm trying to say is that I thought it was going to be an interactive, like it was going to be live, like you're going to be showing us via collaboration what we will do.
Yeah. That was what I was doing, which was why I said like if it's possible for us to like have the collab. Hello, sorry, please, can we unmute yourself? So like, which is what I'm doing right now, trying to like share the collab. I'll share the code with us after the class, but I mean, the collab interface is here for everyone to see. Is it that you want a situation whereby like I'm making changes, you're also making changes as well? Because I mean, we are over 63
Okay,
participants here, and I don't think that will be
okay.
feasible.
That was slow down, yeah.
Yeah. So I would share the notebooks with everyone. I'll share the notebooks with everyone. Oh. Okay, so Victor Unamdi, please. Okay. Unamdi, please, can you speak up? What's your issue? We don't have time anymore.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, from the screen from what you shared, like from your screen, I can see NumPy introduction, and basically I've undergone some lessons on Python, and
Okay.
what I can see on the screen here is because I was told in the course of this whole thing that pandas will have to be undertaken, NumPy will have to be undertaken. But then you are saying right now that what we are doing here is an introduction to Python. But
No,
I
what we
don't
are
know,
doing,
is this
sorry, what we are doing actually is Python for data
NumPy or
analysis. Can you hear me, Namdi?
okay,
So what we're doing actually is
okay,
Python for data analysis, which is we have to start with NumPy, go to pandas, matplotlib, and the likes. But when I asked initially, a lot of people didn't understand Python, which was why I had to start explaining the things like very fundamental, like explaining different data types. But I think what I'll just do now, I don't think because if I start doing that, it slow a lot of us down. But what I would do is I will explain the reason why we are doing things, and I feel that would like make things move faster. So what we're actually covering in so far is Python for data analysis, covering libraries like NumPy, pandas, matplotlib, and seaborn. Oh, time is not on our side. Did you get that? Hello, Namdi. Okay, I think there are no more questions. Victor, last question, please.
I got it. Thank you.
Victor, please, the last question, or you don't have a question, please drop your hands if you don't have a question. Okay, so I think I would just have to move on. So, like I said, what I will do now is like I will tell you the reason why we are doing this, because I mean, if I don't want to go straight to the data analysis and people start asking like, where did this, how did I do this, how did I do this? This is why I'm just trying to introduce you guys to NumPy, because at some point in my data analysis I'll be using these things and you guys would need to like know what it's all about and all that. So yeah. So for those that don't understand Python, you guys have to like bear with me. So I will try as much as possible to like tell you the reason why we do things so everyone flows along. Um, yeah. So first of all, the essence of like an array is that, because I mean, to create a data frame, or to create like, let me go to like your data sets, like your, let me give you for example your Excel table. Your Excel table is usually like mostly done with and it's mostly analyzed with the pandas library. But if you look at, try to like understand how each columns and each rows are generated, it's from the fundamentals of arrays, how to like combination of arrays, like conjunction of arrays to form a single tabular data. So like your normal tables is a combination of rows and columns. So like I just gave an example here about talking about joining different. I just gave a table now about joining different arrays together. So like for example the 3 by 3 array. Let's say I have a table of 14 rows and five columns. That is 5 headers. So with the help of like array, I can create that like myself. So which is like why I'm starting with like arrays introduction. I'm taking it back to your Excel. So even if some of us understand Python, I want to believe we have like basic knowledge of how Excel is. Or some of a whole lot of us as we've all seen what a table looks like. So yeah, that's it. So basically, we're just creating arrays because arrays help us in like in creation of our data or in creation of our tables. So yeah, so this is actually how to create an array, and this is how to create like a multi-dimensional type of array. So I'd have loved to like show us, walk us through some computation, but so for some of us to be able to appreciate this better, I'll take us to the table and the tabular part of it. That is using the pandas library. I'll show you how we create tables using arrays, so you would appreciate creation of arrays, or how we create tables using this. So yeah. Okay, so this is ECX 5. So it's under data frames, under data frames, data frames. So I would have to do a lot of back and forth going from the NumPy to the pandas immediately, so we can all see why. So this is me important, like I talked about the other time. So for those of us that don't understand Python yet, what this basically just means is that like I'm calling some certain libraries or certain tools to use. This is what this just means. Like I'm calling certain tools to use. So you don't have to understand the code for now. The code doesn't have to make sense, but just know like this first line of code just means I'm trying to like call some certain tools to use. And for those of us that understand Python, I'm basically just telling it that okay, hey, pandas, call pandas in, and instead of me calling pandas every time I want to call pandas, I'll just tell it, okay, PD offer shoe, PD do this, PD come, PD this, PD that. So same goes for NumPy. So instead of me calling NumPy every time, I can just MP come here, MP do this, MP do that. So I mean, it saves me more time than writing NumPy always. So let me delete this because I don't. I would So there are certain libraries in NumPy or there are certain tools or features in NumPy, like, let me take it back. So I'm trying to just balance it for those that don't understand Python and for those that understand Python. So let me use Excel as an example. You have the sum feature in Excel. The same way you have the sum feature, in Excel, the same way you have several features in NumPy. So there are a lot of features you can use to do a lot of computation and a lot of analytics or several things. So one of them is the random method. So what random just means, like, hey, I need to get random numbers. Just think of any number and give it to me. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, think of on a scale of 1 to 10, give me one random number. It could, the computer can give me 5, the computer can give me 4, the computer can give me 3. So, like I said, for those that don't understand Python, you don't understand the code, but you just you don't understand what the code. You don't understand you don't understand the code, but I mean, you just have an idea about what the code does. So I'm calling the random feature in NumPy, and yeah, so which is what I'm doing here. So in calling the random feature in NumPy, what I'm saying that, okay, out of this random feature is called random integer in full. Okay, random integer. So from the word random integer, it basically just means give me random integers. Give me random integers. Okay, so from 1 to 10, give me just a single random integer. The computer will give me. So what this code does here, let me make it very simple. So I'm telling it that for this is called randint. I'm telling that from a scale of 2 to 5, just give me a single random integer. The system is smart enough. It gives me 4. We can. I hope we can all see this. Let me try to increase this further. Yeah. So on a scale of 2 to 5, the system gives me 4. If I tell it, okay, I want from 0 to 3, give me just a single number. On a scale of 0 to 3, the system gives me 1. I hope this is making sense. So, like, I mean, so I can also increase the complexity of what I want. So I can tell it that, okay, I don't want a single value. I want a 2 by 2 matrix, or I want a 2 by 2 array. So what I'll just put here, I'll change the size. I'll make this 2 by 2. The system is automatic. Like, the system is smart. Python is smart enough to know, okay, then it does this for you. It gives you 2 arrays. So that's why, like, you can see why, like, we need to understand, like, what an array is itself, because I mean, you see arrays a lot as you go on. So that's like that about the random integer. So I can ask for, like, okay, I want a data of just a single row with 5 columns. It gives me. So now to create a table, like the table you have in your Excel, for example. Let me show you an example of the something I'm talking about, which here. Let me open a sample data example. Just opening. If you have a question, you could just raise up your hand, and I mean, just like every 15 minutes we ask a question, just for 5 minutes. But for those that don't understand Python, I would try to, like, share you introduction to Python courses and materials, like, after the class, just for people to, like, be on track. So this is an example of, like, we all know what a table is, basically, but this is an example of a table. So I could say that let's say from year to year, I could create an array of this, just this. I mean, I could create an array of information on row 4. I mean, row 4 is what I just highlighted now. I could just create an array. I could just create an array of this in Python. So, like, this is why you just need to understand what arrays. Arrays help you to create, like, information in rows and columns, and anything represented in the rows and columns can be represented in a tabular form. So, which is why, like, arrays are very important. Arrays also help us, like, we can do several computations with arrays. We can add 2 arrays together. You can, like, find out, like, the inverse of it, carry out, like, matrix operations with an array. You can carry out your basic arithmetic operations with an array. So I'm doing all this because I want us to, like, understand the importance of an array. And if anyone has a question now, I think, like, there should be, like, 4 minutes for a question from 6:06 to 6:10. Is there any question? Anyone? Okay, just one person. Please go on. Person that raises, I can't say, but just go on. The floor is yours.
Oh, okay, it's Mustafa. Yeah, the
Yeah.
question I wanted to ask was that, okay, since before we using Python, we said we already know the introduction. Why can't we just start from, let me say, Microsoft Excel, and we learn before we then venture into Python? And maybe during those duration, then people then learn Python then, because Excel is kind of more direct. They get.
Oh, okay. So the aim of this is actually the aim of today's class is actually Python for data analysis. So you just have to bear with me. The aim of today's class is just Python for data analysis. So like I mean, I think there are there are going to be Excel classes, but I don't think it will hold today. So I'm actually assuming that those that are present in this class. I initially assumed that those that were present for this class would understand Python. So like if that wasn't the case. So I'm just trying to like show you like the concept of like how you can undo your tabular data, how you can undo your Excel data in Python. Basically, what the tools you should use and all that. So I'm trying to like bring it home to us, like how you visualize your Excel data. You could also do the same to like your like Python data. So yeah, I think I would have to. Since there's no more question, I have to move on. So now, how to create a table, how to create a table like what you have in your Excel. Although it won't be colorful as what you have in Excel, but I mean you will still see the tabular. You still get the tabular feel of it. So to create a table in Python, we use pandas, which brings us to pandas. I would have loved to like go through NumPy, but I mean, understanding the basic principle of arrays, how to create an array, I feel would be enough to create the tables. So to create a table, we are going to use what we call dictionaries. So for those that don't understand Python, so basically a dictionary is just like is like a container into that it's a data type that has in form of keys and values. So let me say, so a dictionary is basically like a hello Damola.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so I just wanted to answer the question about Excel. So the point of introducing pandas and NumPy libraries, because we believe that Excel is kind of limited, and to be honest, it's still the same concept here. Whether we are starting from Excel, we are starting from now Python or whatever, it's still the same coding concept. The point is to clean data and to wrangle and arrange data at the end of the day. Now, the reason why we're dealing with pandas and NumPy and Python libraries because Excel and spreadsheets generally are limited. Cases where you have trillions of data or billions of data, I mean, you can't use a spreadsheet for that. But that's why we're introducing you to pandas, data frame, and NumPy for that in that regards. But then like I said, this is an introductory class. That's why we are working hard to have extra classes to take you through on some different projects, right? But we are going to be tasking you with assignments because that's where we believe you would learn more. When you practice, when you do it yourself, when you are learning yourself, it's going to be much more better that way. And we'll be reviewing the assignments and your result and everything, and also be giving feedbacks on that. So just to answer the question that was raised earlier.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Damola. So to add to what Damola said, trust me, like at some point you want to go beyond the basic calculations or the basic computations you are doing on Excel. I mean, Excel as powerful as Excel is, it is limited in some regards. Like there's some things you can do with Python. Um, you wouldn't be able to do it with Excel. Like the freedom and liberty you have to do some things with Python. Trust me, you won't be able to do it with Excel. So knowing how to do this in Python would actually go a long way. I mean, not just Python, like usually any analytics programming language. Unfortunately, we're not covering R in this track. R is also one powerful tool you could use for data analysis, but that's by the way. So a dictionary is actually like a data type used to store data in terms of in keys and pairs. So an example of a dictionary, I mean, it all makes sense when you guys see an example. So an example of a dictionary is what you have here. Let me create this. An example of a dictionary is what you have here. So this is an example of a dictionary. So what I mean by keys and pairs is so when let me pass this inside a container called dicts. What I call dicts here. I mean, if I want to get the values, if I want to get what is inside A, or if I want to get what is inside the key A, I just do this. Dict A. That's all. So a dictionary kind of stores things in keys and values. Like, okay, if I have the key, I can get the value. Just like the way you have lockers with let me say lockers with records, and you have your keys. So I mean, when you have the key, you could just go there, open the locker, and you get your stuff. So I mean, I'm going through this because of those guys that understand Python. So I hope I was able to do justice to this. So this is how to create this is how to like get like your values, or how to get your stuffs from your locker that you love, if you understood it that way. So how to actually know what is how to know the different keys and all that. It's simple. So you can just do this. Okay. So if you just do this, you get your dictionary keys. You know what is inside. Um. So okay. So okay. So I'm sorry guys. Can you guys give me like 3 minutes? There's an interruption here.
Yeah, we can hear you. Continue.
Okay, sorry, there was a slight interruption. Coming. Yeah, let me stay here. Um, yeah. So, Modupe, you have a question. Hello, Modupe, you have a question.
Hi, yes, I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
Can I
Where's
use
yours?
Jupyter instead of Google Colab?
Yeah, it's free. Actually, you could use Jupyter, but I said Collab because I want to believe everyone has Chrome and everyone has internet. So like there won't be issues with like I can't install Jupyter, I can't install this, I can't install that. Which was why I just said let's just work with Collab. You can use Jupyter. I mean, I use Jupyter as well. I created this with Jupyter. I just had to like transfer it to my drive to use Collab. So I said Collab because I wanted everyone to like. I mean, we'll have Chrome. If you don't have Chrome, we have Mozilla Firefox, and we can all access Collab. Collab is like an internet IDLE. Is that is your question answered?
Yes, I have another question. Sorry. Can you like go back to the random model?
Okay. Um. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Can you? Okay, it's there now. So what's the question?
Yes, the random model. You said numpy dot random. Like random is a module on Python.
Okay.
Like is it
So
the same random model, or it's
okay.
another like it's for
Yeah.
numpy?
Okay. So yeah, okay. So I would like to like say two things. So if you look at the way things are, non-pilot.random is similar to, or has they have like similar features to what the random module or random library you have in Python. So the reason why you have this dot random here in NumPy is because to carry out some computations on NumPy arrays, you need to use the NumPy.random. And there's another thing I want to also say is that if you also realize, I mean, since it seems you have an understanding of Python, there's also an array module or an array library in Python, import array. There's also an array module or an array library in Python. There's so like these things are out there. But I mean, to be able to like carry out computations on NumPy arrays created with NumPy, you need to use NumPy built-in methods. Was I able to like explain your question, answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to, I mean, I already gave an example of what a dictionary. So let me just create another type of dictionary, which is, let me call this my key. Should be doing this, but I mean, let me just do this. My key 1 2 3 4 it's 5 here. I've created a dictionary. So once I call dictionary.keys, I see that okay, I have two keys. I have key A, I have key my key. So if I want to know what is inside my key, it's just easy. Dix my key. So that's how to create like a dictionary. So with the help of dictionaries, we are going to create a table in Python. Okay, so to start with, let me do this. Or let's see whether I have this example here. Okay, so let me just put a show. So let me create a table of. Let me use this to create a table. Let me call this 65 6 7 8 9 and 10. Then let me call this let me copy this out, paste it here. So basically I'm still just trying to create a dictionary here. So after creating the dictionary, pandas dot, I call the pandas method. Remember I talked about how to call pandas, or how to import pandas and all that. So basically what I'm just doing that, okay, pandas I renamed as pd dot I'm calling the data frame method. So the data frame method is what you use to create a data in a tabular form in Python using pandas, Python pandas. So after calling the data frame method, I just pass in the dictionary. I've created my table. I'm going to go over it again because I want everyone to just understand this. There are different ways to create like a table in Python pandas. So I'm working over it again. We all know how to create a dictionary. You create your dictionary first. After creating your dictionary, you create your table. Let me write my table. My table. Once I call my table, automatically gives me my table. That's all. So to actually check the first three rows in my table, which now takes us to other stuff we'll be doing in pandas. But I mean, let me walk us through how to create another table. I mean, did everyone get how to create a table? Or did anyone get how to create a table? Is there an issue somewhere? Is there a question? How to create a table? I mean, if you have an issue, just raise up your hand. If you don't have an issue, that means if there are no answers, that means there's no issues.
To be honest, I really do not understand like most of the things happening. So probably I'll just take an introductory class on YouTube or something. But for now, I am like blank.
Wow. Okay. Modupe, do you
Same here.
still
I'm also blank.
So Matthew, how about you? Um,
I don't look,
hello
can you hear me?
Matthew. Yeah, I can hear
Yes,
you. I can hear you.
I don't understand the stuff.
Okay. Who else? Okay? First of all, let me. Is there anyone understanding like what I'm doing? I mean,
Yeah,
uh,
I'm following you, but I had an error with my the table I tried creating with the dictionary because I'm following you, like so. I'm getting you.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
uh,
I understand what you're doing, Bruce.
okay. Who else? Okay, but the thing
Your
is,
line is breaking up.
okay, so the thing is, actually, guys, you guys will actually have to like bear with me because I mean, this class is actually not a Python introductory class, but I'm still trying my best to like just still take it to the fundamentals. So I'm really sorry for those that I find it hard to understand. I trust me, I know you can't just learn Python just 2 hours or in 30 minutes of conversation. So I mean, it's just understanding the concept why we are doing this. I feel that's something we should like take with us. I mean, or something that should spike our interest to go and learn this thing on our own. So for those that don't understand Python, I'm really sorry. Like, I mean, I'm really sorry. So yeah, okay, Damola wants to talk.
Yeah, like I said, I'll just keep saying it over and over, and I'll just say this, don't exactly focus on the code, right? Don't exactly focus. Just try to get the concept as Joseph is saying. If you can understand what he's trying to do, he's trying to create a table, and that is the code. Dix equals to he has a dictionary, and those things. Don't exactly focus on the code for now, but just try to understand what he's doing. Then later, right, you can now practice the code yourself. That is how you are going to learn, because I don't expect you to understand everything, in 2 hours. But if you can understand what he's doing exactly, it's going to really help you. But just focus. You can also be practicing, yeah, but the point is understand what exactly is trying to do. That's just what I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Damola. So I would, okay, so for those that don't understand, please can we unmute ourselves, please? Okay, so for those that don't,
I don't understand.
please can we unmute ourselves? Oh, okay. Please, if you can hear me, just thumbs up. If you can hear me, just give the thumbs up sign. Okay, Oluwatobi has a question. If you can hear me, just give the thumbs up sign, please. Okay, yeah. So first of all, for those that don't understand Python, basically what I'm just trying to do here is I'm trying to like create a table. First of all, like I mean, to do your data analysis, like if you want to analyze anything, except from let's say you want to analyze anything, you need to bring it to that table form, like you need to bring that tabular from the rows and columns form. Because I mean, if you want to call things, you want to like do a lot of operations, you need to be able to like call columns, call rows, call things like that. But let me give an example as to like a similar situation. Let's say you have a column of let me say revenue, you have a column of sales, income, you have income and revenue are basically simple. So you have a column of sales, goods sold, a lot of things, profits and all these things. So let's say I want to get, compare my profits to my revenue. I mean, I need to be able to like call. I need to know how to call these things in my table. And let's say I'm using Python, so I need to know how to call these things. Like let's say, okay, I want to call my profit. I want to call my revenue column. I need to be able to do these things, which is why like we're actually going through all these things. I mean, it's just very basic because I could just take us to data analysis and start analyzing data, and a lot of things just seem lost to us. We need to know how to like carry out certain operations. Let's say I just want to create a mini table of a large table or of a large data set. I need to be able to know how to do all these things, and these are like just the basic things that will help us create it. So for the person that said he was getting an error. So let me just walk us through it for the last time, man. So this is the dictionary. You have your keys, you have your values. You create your dictionary. Or let me add the third one. So probably you work with me as well. My key two, yeah. So we have let me just call this 77, 33, 44, 55, and let me call it 66. Yeah. So I create it, I run it, I pass it into my data frame, I put it inside my table container. I have a table. So I keep adding more columns, If I want to increase the number of rows, it's just simple. I make this I increase the total length to like I make this 11, I make this I make this I make this 99. You see the last row, which is this, if you can't, yeah. So that's how to create a table. Now let's now go to the random int. So to create a table of a matrix, or to create a table of a multidimensional array or multidimensional data, what you just do is, you can see how I created this random int. I want to believe everyone got this. I created this array with different integers. If I want to create a 5 by 5 matrix of 0 to 3, or let me say of 1000 to 3000, integers within 1000 to 3000, a 5 by 5 matrix, I get it. This is it. So I want to turn this to a table, in the sense that like the 2000, this thing you can, the first column you can see here becomes my first column in my table. The next column you can see here becomes my next column in my table. So how will I go about that? Let me copy this straight up. And yeah, okay, let me. So I already talked about creating arrays. So to go about this, let me call this so this is my random integer 1000 3000. Let me put it inside this container. Let me call it data. Then after that, to create the data frame, I call my pandas dot data frame. I put the data there. I get my table. But still, it is not, I don't want my table to be in this format. I want it to have like headers. Like I want the first column to be called let's say I want the first column to be called let me see, A. I want the next column to be called B. I want the next column to be called C. I want the next column to be called D. I want the next column to be called E. Let me go over just walk it through. Everyone understands how you can create random integers. So basically, this code basically just creates random integers from 1000 to 3000 of shape 5 by 5. You have 5 rows, you have 5 columns. That's what this does. It creates it for you. Then the next thing it does is, next thing you create a data frame of this. But I now said that, okay, I don't want it to just give me initialize headers for me, like column names for me. I want it to have my own column name, which brings me to columns. I call the columns method. I call this my A. I call this my B. I call this my C. I call this my D. I call this my E. I think yeah, that's all. So let's run that. Let's see what it gives us. That's, I no longer have it in terms of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say, okay, I don't want the index. I don't want the index to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want the index to have my own index. So the same, I want the index to also be in form of A, B, C, Ds. Same thing I could do it. Just come here. Let me write the index. Sorry, not in caps. Index. And before, I don't know, for those of us that understand Python, I think we should know this already. Like Python is case sensitive. I mean, if you are using lowercase, stick with if you are creating arguments, or let me go to that. But if you are creating something, it's just best to just use lowercase. And if you are sticking with if you are sticking with uppercase, use uppercase. But don't use uppercase inside things like this. I don't want to call it by the name. I want to believe those who understand Python already know what it's called. They are know what they are called. So if you are using if you are writing anything within something like this, just always use lowercase. But if you want to create a container like this, you are free to use uppercase. There are no issues. But like I said, if you want to create something within a bracket, within a particular method in Python, always use lowercase. I'm refusing to call it by name because it take me back again to start explaining some things in Python, basically. So I mean, index is equal to let me just copy this straight up. Is this here? Index should change. I've changed my index. This is how to create like a data frame. So if I want to call, like, okay, I want to call A, I want to call column A, I want to call column B, I want to call column C. Let me remove this. Copy this. Yeah. Let me remove it. I just want zeros and ones. Okay. Let me call this as my data. Here's my data as well. So to go about this, I just write the data. So I just need column A and column B. Or let me start. I just need column E. I just need column E. So how will I do it? I call the data. I call my square bracket. I write the column I'm looking for. I'm looking for E. Once I type it out, I get the information. I get the data inside column E. Let's say I'm looking for information in column C. I call the data, call it on C. I get my information. I think next time for questions. So 2 minutes, just 3 minutes, just anyone with a question, just anyone with a question, or we should just
Hi,
move.
good evening. I have a question.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My question is that the example that you are doing, you're working with a random number.
I'm working with
So
random
what
number.
if yes? So what if I don't want to work with a random number? Like I want to work within a range. Is it can I still use the size function?
What if you don't want to work with a random? You want to use a range? What set of values? Like
Okay.
sorry, yeah.
Okay, like for example, if I have like 1 to 100 and I want to make a 6 by 6
Made,
matrix.
yeah.
Yes.
So
So how do I do that?
So you want a range of values from 1 to 100. It's easy. It's easy to go about that. So you don't want it to just be randomized. Like you want it to be from 1 to 100, right?
Yes.
So the way I would go about that, I mean, there are different ways to go about that. But the way I would go about that is, sir, are you on the track? Let me just, for those, I'll have to like introduce another method. I was going to introduce it in the later class, but I think I can introduce it now. Does anybody else have a question apart from Adibola, if I got that right? Yeah. So I think I can go. So let me, there's a method in, or there's a feature in NumPy called range. I think is it a range or just range? np dot a range. Yeah, I guess it's a range. So there's a feature in NumPy called a range. So let's say I need values from 1, and I need it to stop at 100. No, 6 by 6 matrix. Sorry, Adebola, are you there?
Yes, I am.
So what should the first row look like? Can you give me an idea what the first row should look like?
Okay, let me try and divide it to 6 by. Okay, let's use a step of like of 3. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Use a step of 2. If I use 3, it will not be enough. I'll have NaN value. So use a step of 2.
Yeah, if you want to, you can check, you can see, from the, I mean, you can check the, arrange, start, stop, step, etc. So the thing is, if like, okay, you want to have a 6 by 6 matrix, but that's connoting to be like 36 numbers. So like, it doesn't really fit into 100. But I get your question. Okay, I'll try to get Joseph back to the call. But just to attend to your question, if you want to say, let me see if I can share my screen. Just give me a minute. But just attending to your question, yeah. There's a start, there's a stop, and there's a step. So it's just comma separated. So if you want to start from 1, and you end at, you said 100, but I think it's going to be 101 that you press. Then after 1 comma 101 comma, say if you want a step of 2, then you can put 2 or 3. But let me just try to share my screen and just give me a minute,
I think.
please. All right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, like I had network issues and I'm trying to like join in back with my system. Can you just give me about 2 to 3 minutes? So can you give me the range of values?
1 to 101. Another
1 to 1. Okay.
1.
The first row. Yeah, I'm with you.
Probably if you have a step of 2, so it's like 1, then 3, then 5, like that, to the end of the year.
Okay. A step of 3, right?
So use if I use 3, it will be, I'll have no value.
Okay. Sorry, I can't hear you well. Let me join you in my system. Just give me 3 minutes, please.
Okay.
Trying to connect with my system. Matthew, you have a question.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Blessing. I'm with you. I can hear you. I'm
Um,
joining now.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Do I have to use Jupyter to call Panda and NumPy, or I can use VS Code for it?
You can use VS Code. Sorry, let me. Okay. Blessing. Hello, Blessing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, so you can use VS Code. So far, you have pandas installed, pip install panda install pandas. You can use VS Code. You can use PyCharm. You can use Spider. You can use what I think there's Atom. You can use Sublime Text. You can use a whole lot of you can use a whole lot of IDs. So far, you are able to like install pandas and install Python. I mean, if you downloaded anacondas, if you download libraries already installed in it. But because I don't want everyone to have issues with installing, I couldn't install this, I couldn't install that, which is why I just went with Collab. Okay.
All right, thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. So does anybody else have a question? Okay, I was answering Adebola the other time. So please, can you just tell me the range of values? Like I'll be creating a table from what you're saying. I just want to show you like how you can just think of something and create a table from it. The flexibility you have unlike compared to your Excel, which you have to like start doing manual computation and all that. So yeah. Adebola, please, can you just tell me what the first row looks like?
Okay, the first one should be like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, then come down to
Okay, I think I have an idea. I think I get it. I get it. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, I'm sure everyone can see my screen. Yeah, so numpy.arrange. Okay, so the beauty about Python is that, like, see, the thing is, I'll be frank with you guys. I don't cram code. I don't cram code. When I need to, I'll always Google it. I've been doing Python for 3 years now, and I still go at some points. I still go and check some basic stuff, like just to, like, refresh my memory. So I mean, all this coding stuff it's not like it's there, it's permanently there. I don't cram code. I just know that, okay, if I need something, if there's a particular problem, I think I know I need to use this particular method. I need to use this particular tool, like what Adebola just said. Like I just numpy.arrange method just came up to my head that, okay, I think I can use this to solve what she's talking about. So I don't cram codes, and I've been doing this for 3 years, like I said, and I still have to go to Google some things. So there's no perfect way around it. So I'm still learning. We're all learning, basically. So to go about this is numpy.arrange. When you press okay, let me reconnect. So let me just reconnect to this. Connecting. Okay. Yeah. So let me just import numpy to start with. Okay. So when you click on MP dot, let me just write this. Just write MP. I want to show you here some MP dot arrange on. When I type the bracket, if you are using Jupyter, you can just write I don't want to do that. If you're using Jupyter, you can just put the cursor, put the mouse on the arrange itself, any letter in between A and E, all right, and click on Control Shift. You get this kind of pop-up box that is here. So what the pop-up box is basically just give you like a document information about what this arrange is doing, about what the arrange is all about. So from here, it says that it returns evenly spaced values within a given interval. So it teaches me how to do it. Okay, so the value I want to start with, the value I want to stop with the step values. What are step values? If I want to go from 1 to 10 with a step of 2, that's 1, 3, 5, things like that. So yeah. Will Aaron be able to do this for me? Will Aaron be able to do this for me? Okay, yeah, let me do it. So I want to go from 1 to 100, 2. Will Aaron be able to do this for me? I think so. Let me see. So what's the size of this? So basically, so once you write this, you'll see the way it came out. So you have 1357 up until 100. The step size starting from 1 ending at 100. Step size of 2. So let me check the shape. So once I've created, let me check the shape where I have 50. Will this be able to give me 6 by 6 matrix? I don't think so. So let me. So yeah, or let me explain something from here. So I've created this a range of method from 1 to 100 with the step size of 2. So let me call it DAS, or let me call it a range data. So typically, if I want to know what the dimension of if I want to know what the dimension of my data is, I call the dot shape method. I showed us when I was talking about the numpy array the other time. So from here, I can see that I have 50 columns. Typically, I just know that when you see something like 50 comma, I just know that you have 50 entries. I have 50 columns, or let me say you have 50 entries. So I want to reshape this. I want to turn it to a 10 by 5 matrix or a 5 by 10 matrix. So the way to go about is when you write your full stop, you call the reshape method. Reshape. Once I put the bracket, the pop-up box comes out, tells me what to do. It returns an array containing the same data with a new shape. So I could call this I want a shape of 10 by 5. Let's see what it gives. So what I just want to say is that, like, what I wanted to say to just point out is that if my initial data was of 50 entries, like the one we have now, I can only reshape it into a number, into a product that will give me 50. I can't reshape this to 11 by 5. I'll get an error. I can't reshape this to 6 by 5. I'll get an error. So I can only reshape it to like products that will give me 50. The initial shape was 50. I'm sure we can all read. The initial shape was initial shape was 50. Then so let me say what other number can give me 50? This 50 is very boring. Let me use let me see what this will give me. Sorry, let me see what this will give me if I do a step size of 3. 33. No, 33 is boring. Okay, let me just leave it as 50. So basically I can make this 10 by 5 or 5 by 10. If I make it 10 by 5, that means I have 10 rows and 5 columns. If I make it 5 by 10, I have 5 rows and 10 columns. So like these are just ways you can just manipulate your data about. So another method I also want to measure, I believe this will be the last method I'll mention. I mean, we can't just go and research the different methods, the different tools and features of NumPy and Pandas to like do our computations. I'll share my notebook because I have about 17 notebooks here. I'll share it with everyone. For those of us that understand the basics of Python, you can go through it to have an understanding of what I'm talking about. But for those of us that don't understand the basics of Python, please don't go through it yet, so you get overwhelmed. I think Damola and someone said they will share resources with you on introduction to Python, and we'll get resources from the Python track and share with you guys first. So for those of us that don't understand Python, please don't go through, so you can get overwhelmed. Yeah, so there's the linspace method. So the way the linspace method works is that let's read the documentary information. It returns evenly spaced number over a specific interval. It returns evenly spaced interval. So let's see what this does. Let's say I want to go from 1 to 30. I want to go from 1 to 30, and I want just 5 numbers. So what if a linspace does is that, like, it starts from 1 and end at 5 and split it. No, it starts from 1 and end at 30 and split it into just 5 entries or 5 data points. Let me make this 10, or let me add the type integer. So it splits it into from 1 to 30 into just 5 places. Let me make this 100. Does the same thing. 1, 25, 50, 75, 100. Let me make this 200. I mean, we get the concept of linspace now. So there are several, I don't know, I don't think there are hundreds of methods you can get from NumPy and Pandas. Till today, I still don't know some methods, even though I know a lot of methods. So, I mean, you just go to Google. I mean, once I go to the NumPy documentation, I think NumPy documentation, you see several methods there. NumPy documentation, which is here. You see several methods. Don't stress me. So let me see. Let me this. Let's see what this is. Wow. User guide. Let me see whether it's from the user guide. Okay. Let me just go to NumPy MP linspace. NumPy linspace. Exactly. So just come here. Okay, so as you can see on my left here, you can see a whole lot of methods So it's not something you anyone can teach you in a day. It's something you would like learn while you work, while you practice. I mean, I know that if I need to do 1 or 2 things, I would need this method. If I need to do this, I would need this method. So there are hundreds of methods in NumPy and Pandas. I mean, Pandas also has its own in this format as well. So you can't learn everything at once. I don't know everything at once. I don't know everything at the moment. I'm still learning. And I don't think I've encountered a problem so far. When you encounter a problem, basically you learn new things. So that's the way this programming thing is all about. So yeah, that was just wow. So this is just the namespace library. So I think what actually made me go through this was what Adebola mentioned, and I'm trying to like remember the question. Okay, she said invalid space from 135. So let me see if I can turn this to a 6x6 matrix. So Adebola, can you hear me? Or are you still there?
Hello, yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, so on how to create that 6x6 matrix, I think it would be a little bit except if I have to create the arrays manually, or probably I didn't get your question clearly. You wanted the
I think it's fine. I just used the 6x6 as an example, but I already
Okay.
understand it. Yes, because
Exactly.
I didn't calculate the numbers well to give me
Okay.
36. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so we move on to how to like call I'll just go through how to like call different data. Like I mean, we all know how to create a data frame now. Everyone here has an idea about how Python data frame is created, or everyone has an idea of, or everyone knows for a fact that we can create a table with Python, a table that looks like that gives us that same spreadsheet or Excel data field. So we can do that with Python. So if I want to call more than one column if I want to call just one column, like I want to extract B's and C's, I call 2 square brackets. Start calling 2 square brackets. Okay, I want to extract C's and E's. E and E rather. That's all. But that doesn't mean if I want to call 3 columns, I have to call the third bracket. No, it doesn't work like that. Once you call the square, the double square bracket, it handles like for multiple entries. Let me give an example. So, let me call A here. You notice that the columns are coming in the order which they were called, C, E, and A. So yeah. So now we will be going into, I mean, there are a lot of methods. Let me just go through. Let me see what I created here. So yeah, I think I did a lot of stuff here. So I talked about we all know how to create a data frame. Basically, it's just, let's say this is a sample data frame that was created like this. I gave an example already at the top, or rather, let me use what we all know. So we all know how this data frame came about. Let's say I just want to pick I just want to know what the first 3 rows is. I don't want information on, let me call the, I want to pick what the first 3 rows is. Like I just want to know what row 0, row 1, row 2 is. I don't want to know rows about information about every other thing. It's easy. There are 2 ways to go about this. Call your data. I think if it is this way, you get it. There are 2 ways to go about it. You do this. This is called this is called your indexing and slicing in Python. For those of us that understand Python, the same way you can slice your list and slice all the stuff you slice, the same way you can slice a data frame. For those of us that don't understand Python, what we're just doing here is that, like, okay, what this command here just does. So what this command here just does is that it extracts information. Okay, I think I should just written 0 here. Okay, let me just write 0 here so people won't come. So what this command just does is that it extracts information from the 0th row. So the way Python works is that, like, the way, like, number starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In Python, number starts from 0. So if you want to call the first item on a list, or you want to call the first item in any sequence, you use 0. So okay, I now told you that, okay, from a range of 0 to start from 0 and stop at 3. So what Python will do for you is that Python will take number 0, number 1, and number 2. It won't take the last number. So whenever you are creating something like this, let me say it again. When you create something like this, Python will take the first row, take the second row, take row 0, row 1, and row 2. It won't take the last number you're putting here. So that's the way Python works. It's not me that created it. It's Python that did it like that. So you can call the first 3 rows of a data frame like this. Also, another method to go about it is you could just do data head. It will still give me the same result as what I have here. Let me reduce the font size so we can see the same thing at once. Yeah. So as you can all see. So I would have loved to like show us more pandas methods and numpy methods, but because of time won't permit us to do that. So I just want to show us one more thing before we call it. It's almost 7 already. Just 3 more minutes. So the last thing I have for which I would love everyone to know of is out. Okay, I think this is it. From so before I just wave your hand or just notify, like signify if you have a question. If you have a question, signify. If there's no question, that means everyone is following. If you have a question, okay, no questions. So to start it, we all know. Okay, one person. So just go on. Raise your hand. Just go on.
We have questions. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah. Are you going to be sending us the link to these notebooks, right? Hello, can you hear me? Joseph.
I'll send notebooks to you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I'll
okay,
send
no,
everyone.
okay, no problem. Thanks so much.
Okay, and also I will try my best as possible because I mean, if during the process of during the course of your like personal practice and personal tutorials, and so like you have any question, you have any blockers, I know I won't be able to attend to everyone. I'll try my best to attend to like everyone's concerns about certain methods, like what certain methods do and all that. But the beauty about Python is that like to know what a method does, I just need to like I just did there. Once I click open my bracket, it just gives me like a pop-up box and tells me like tries to like brief me about what tool I want to or what picture I want to use before I just go into using it. It even tells me that hey, start with this step, stop here, put the data type like this, do the size like this. Like Python is very easy to learn. Python is one of the easiest programming language, if not the easiest. For me, it's the best programming language. I mean, some people will argue for theirs, and that's it. So Python is very very easy to learn. I mean, it's like your basic English if you understand it, and it's one of the best data analysis tools to use. One of the best. R is arguably one of the best as well, but I mean, for me, Python is so. If that's this, so like to move ahead, so I wanted to, before rounding up, I want to talk about how to undo your Excel data. I mean, we're talking about tabular data for so long, and we'll be wondering, okay, what if I have like a data in Excel format and I want to carry out computations and all of those stuff on my Python? I don't want to do it on Excel. Like, let me give you for an example. Like, I'm a petrol and gas final year. So since I got to my 300 level, every assignment that has been given to me has been done with Python. I do a lot of things with Python. Like every single assignment given to me, I do them with Python. Because I mean, I get to do a lot of stuff easily than just going through the Excel formula sets and all stuff. Like, to me, it's boring. So I do a whole lot of stuff with Python programming. So I mean, yeah. So now how to, like I said, how to like handle this Excel data. I have this Excel data on my system. I have this Excel data on my laptop, but I want to take it to Python. How do I do that? So with the help of pandas, you can also go about it. So we all know that there are different types of Excel files. We have the comma, I've forgotten what the SVM, but we have the comma delimited comma delimiter files. We have the TSV files. We have the normal Excel workbook sheets and all that. So I have an Excel workbook here. I would also share the data with everyone so we can also do personal practice. So I have the Excel data on this ECX drive I have here. I'll share the link with everyone. So I come to my data. So I'm using Collab. So for those of us that are using Collab, you just simply you mount your drive. I mean, once you mount your Google Drive, let me revoke access so you guys get what I'm talking about. Once you open your Collab, if you want to extract information from what is like, let's say for now, for example, I have my Excel data on my Google Drive on my phone. So I want to put this data into my Collab. How can I go about it? Once you open your Collab, you've already connected. You have this green sign. You just come here. You click on this sign. Once you click on the sign, or let me go through the because since you come here, you click on this sign. Once you click on the sign, it tells you connect to Google Drive. In the event that didn't pop up, you can also go about that using this line of code here, or these 2 lines of code I have here. You can also go about it doing that. So like this, I've already mounted my Google Drive, or let me see, I've already connected my Google Drive to my Google Collaboratory. So I have everything on my Google Collaboratory in my Collab. So I go to my drive. These are everything. These are all the files I have on my Google Drive, and this is ECX. So these are all the notebooks I created for this track. Unfortunately, we won't be able to go over everything. So the data, let's say, okay, I want to pick this sample data.fold file. I right click, I copy the path. I right click and copy the path. Right click. Because I'm watching it on my phone, so I'm knowing if it's correct. And so I copy the path, import pandas. We all know what import pandas. I've already explained what I mean by import pandas. So there's a particular feature in pandas that is called read Excel. So what it just basically means from the word read Excel, okay, pandas, I want you to read Excel file. Pandas A, I want you to read CSV file. Pandas A, I want you to read so file. So read the Excel file. Let me do it all over again. Delete this. So for the read Excel file, I come here. I call my PD.
Sorry,
Dot.
boss. I don't understand the things you just did in the like last 5 minutes. Like you were rushing, so
Okay.
I couldn't follow through.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I'll go over it again. Okay. Let me start from the very beginning. I'll try to rush. Okay. I won't try to rush. I'll try to like carry on as fast as possible. So to start with, we all know the import pandas. We're talking about import pandas. We've done that. I now said I want to transfer information from my Google Drive. This is my Google Drive. This is my Google Drive. This is my Google Drive. I did copied I did have my notebooks and the data I wanted to use to explain this class here. Everything is stored here. So, but I want to be able to like connect this all the files I have here. I want to connect it to my Google Collab. How do I go about it? I open my notebook. Let me even go over it. Let me go from start from the very beginning. Let me create a new notebook so you'll see what I'm talking about. So I open my new notebook. I have a plain notebook right now. I connect first. So it's still connecting. After I've connected, I come to this thing that looks like a file here. I click on it. Then I come to this sign that has this Google Drive sign here. I click on it. So this pop-up box will open. Then you click on connect to Google Drive. Once I've connected to Google Drive, all the files are once I've connected to Google Drive, all the files I have on my Google Drive. I open Google Drive, my drive, ECX, the data I want to work on. This is one of them, the food sales data. I right click and copy the parts. That's all. So, but first of all, I talk about importing pandas, which I did in there, but I'm going to redo it. Import pandas as PD. I did explain why we're doing this because I want to use the pandas library. After import, I now say that there's a particular feature inside pandas that helps me to read Excel files. Like, hey, pandas, I want to read this Excel file, come and help me. Hey, pandas, I want to read this so file, come and help me. So there's a particular feature there. But so let me open it. Once I do PD dot, I write the read. It shows me several options that pandas has. I can read a clipboard. I can read a CSV file. I can read an Excel file. I can read a feather file. I can read the FWF file, GBQ file, HDF file, HTML file, JSON file. I can read several files. But what is of concern to me right now is an Excel file. So what do? I come to read Excel. I click on read Excel. I open the bracket. If I open the bracket, I see a pop-up box again, like I said, that tells me how pandas want me to like type my information. So I'll type the parts that I just copied. I paste it here, but remember to put it in quotes. I paste it here and copy it here. But however, the nature of the data, let me open the data itself to us. This is the data I just copied. That's the full. This is data I just copied. I'm sorry, we are 7 minutes late. I'll be done soon. So this data I just copied. So in the data, I have, like if you look at the bottom part of it, I have instructions worksheet, I have food sales worksheet, and I have my links worksheet. But what I want is just the instructions. What I want is the food sales worksheet. This is what I want to import to my pandas. So I just copied the food sales worksheet. I copied the name, just copy food sales. I come to this place. I come to my Python code, comma, sheet name. On it, I get my data. So it is the same information I have here is the same information you have here. Sorry. Look at the first row. The first row is 2020, 1st of January, East, Boston, Bars, Carrot, 33, 1.77. If you come here, the first row you have here, where's the data? The first row you have here is 1st of January, 2020, East. Let me expand it. Sorry, let me expand this. So if you come here, the first row you have here is 1st of January 2020 East, Boston, Bars. Exactly what we copied from, exactly what is appearing on pandas is what is here. So does anybody have a question? Okay, please ask.
I hope this is recorded so that we can go over it again.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so does anybody have a question? Any other question? We are already late already. Does anybody have any other question? Okay, no more questions. So to go about, let me just carry out some of the operations I did in the other sections, other notebooks. Let me call this my data equal to this. So I just simply say, hey, data, I want the region column. Hey, data, I want the region column. It gives me the regions column. Hey, data, I don't want just the region column. I want to see the first 3 rows. Okay, in the data, I want the region and the city. Put in double square brackets. Call the city as well. And I get both my region and I get both my region and city. I can also say, okay, out of this two, I just want the first 3 rows. I think this should give me also. So there are several computations, several methods you can get from pandas. There are a lot of things you can do with pandas, but I think I have to stop here today. And we all have assignments, just like how we can extract information from stuff. I'll share notebooks with others that are self-explanatory, so we can go through it. And yeah, I think that's all. Does anybody have questions? I know a lot of people have questions. Does anybody have questions?
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, Blessing, you can. The floor is
I
yours.
want to ask, why did you use two square brackets?
Okay, I said it the other time that if I want to get information, if I want to call multiple columns, I use the double square brackets. If I want to get multiple information, as in, if I want to just get a particular column, I use a single square bracket. If I want to get more than one column, I use the double square bracket. If I want to get, for example, let me say I want to get the quantity as well. I also want to get the quantity. I want to get 3 columns. I could just do this. I get 3 columns. But if I just want a single column, I could just do this. I just want a single column. I just want the information from just quantity. I just want information from quantity. I could just do this. If I just want information from just quantity, I could just do this. Please, have I been able to answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any other question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want you've been saying that Python programming has been easy for you. So what made it easy, or how did you learn it?
Okay, so basically, the material I started with, I'll tell everyone. So I had this Navin Ready material I collected from a friend of mine. So I had this Navin Ready material I collected from a friend of mine. I went through much on YouTube as well. I mean, I did Navin Ready up onto object-oriented programming, and yeah, I was able to, like, after doing Navin Ready, I went through Mosh as well, just like brush up myself. So I realized that, but these are the two sides for Python. So I realized that, hey, I want to do more than just Python programming. I would love to, like, go further. So I mean, that was when I started learning, like, things like NumPy, pandas, data science, and how to apply Python to these things. So yeah, I started with them. Mosh on YouTube. You can check him out, MOSH, and Navin Ready, Telusco on YouTube. But there are crazy things that, like, when I was learning, like, there was no data camp. I don't think there was data camp then. Unlike now that we have data camp doing Python and all that. So there are a lot of interesting materials out there, especially from data camp, from Udacity, from Crossite, Udemy, and the like. I mean, there's the Udemy bootcamp. I think Udemy 3.9, the bootcamp course they have on.
Okay,
So yeah,
thank you.
that's it. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I think we'll have to call it a day. If you have any question, you can reach out to me on Joseph Olaide Cruz on Slack. I will be there to answer everyone. Or you can just send a message to Damola. Damola will forward it
Please,
to me. I will
what are
get
you
in touch with
teaching
everyone.
for the next class?
Okay, so I mean, Damola will have to answer that. Damola, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. So, like I said earlier, we're planning to have extra classes because the initial plan is to just have one class in a week, one class per week. And, from the curriculum, we're going to introduce you to just the popular tools, if you want to become a data analyst. And, Michael last week gave introduction to what data analytics is all about. We've started with how you can use Python, for data analysis. Now, the expectation is that we know that a lot of people are not familiar with Python. So like I said before, we're going to be giving tasks. Joseph has done, he has worked very hard to try to, just to, like, give an appreciation of how Python is being used, for data analysis. You can see here working with different CSV files, doing a lot of coding and stuff like that. Yeah, not to, underwhelm or overwhelm you guys. We're going to be giving tasks in the next days just for you to as well do something very similar to what he has done. And we're also going to be having, like, some resources that would be helpful as well. We're going to collect everything in a doc file. And at the end of the day, you'll be submitting something like an assignment. And, just for us to see that you're also, committing to this as well. So yeah, tomorrow we'll see if we can have an extra class just to touch some of these things like Joseph has explained, and just to further help with Python programming and NumPy and Pandas library. But like I said, we're going to try to have extra classes. So the curriculum is Python, SQL, Tableau, and Power BI. So that's just what we have currently for the curriculum of the course. So just SQL, Python, Tableau, and Power BI. We'll still be doing more interesting stuff. I know this is more coding, right? By the time we get to some tools that don't require coding, maybe you might find that more interesting. But then, Python is very essential because most times you'll be dealing with a lot of external data and be reading a lot of, trillions and millions of data. So Python is very, very essential and very important.
Yeah, thank you, Damola. So to also add to what Damola is saying, so I mean, Python opens doors to a lot of applications. For example, with Python, I've worked in the capacity of a machine learning engineer. I've worked in the capacity of a data scientist. Currently, I'm into data analytics, like where I'm working right now. So I mean, with Python, you could just move into different areas. You see people using Python for backend development, Django and the like. You see people using Python for data science, machine learning. You see people using Python for several tools. So I mean, Python opens doors to a lot. So I would encourage everyone to try and learn Python from I don't know, from our houses, our homes. And Python is very, very versatile, like what Damola is saying. So thank you very much. If you have any question, just send it to my Slack. I would respond. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.